It was terrible. Now I'm gonna get into the Herbert interceptions too. I don't think Joseph said Herbert played bad today, and he didn't play his best, but the interceptions, both interceptions. I think the one at the end of the first half, I don't think that was as big of a deal. It was a crazy interception. I've never seen an interception like that before. Give credit to the Titans player, but I don't think it was that big of a deal. The first one, the second one was a Herbert thing, but it was a function of the Joe Lombardi offense. Joe Lombardi's offense, it makes Justin Herbert throw these interceptions, right? And I'm not saying that it actually forces him to throw these interceptions, but the way he calls these games and the way that he game plans, right? This was a interception that came in the third quarter, and the reason why it came is because Kevin Byard, the safety, was playing up. How are you playing up so far on a receiver, right? When you're a safety, you are supposed to be deep. You're supposed to be as deep as the deepest guy. But those principles, right? Those are conventional principles when you play the safety position. Pretty much, that's common sense. But when you play this team, when you play the 2022 Chargers, your principles as a safety can kind of go out of the window because nobody is forcing you to get out of what you do, right? You can come up, you can play the run, you can play the short game because the Chargers are not going to throw the ball downfield. They're not going to attack you. The Chargers do not attack downfield, and that's the biggest thing with this. And when you see Herbert, when you see some of these interceptions, I remember he had a really bad interception last season, and I think it was a game at Baltimore. And when I looked at it, I'm like, okay, this is an interception because he cannot go downfield. Not only was it the protection not allowing him to go downfield, but the play calling, the rhythm of the offense is not allowing him to go downfield because whether or not you complete passes downfield, right? That's not the point of this, right? It's not whether or not you complete passes. It's not if you have 75-yard touchdowns and you let Herbert air it out. That's not the point of it. The point of the whole thing is for safeties, right? Defenses, but safeties in particular, to feel that if they are not deep, right? If they're not in the deepest part of the field, they will be beat and they will give up a touchdown. That is pretty much the whole thing. But when you play this Charger team, you don't have to worry about that. A lot of times you can come up, play as aggressive as you want to. You can take a step forward instead of a step back, right? When you're a safety, you can come forward and not retreat. And you can feel comfortable doing that because you know the Charger offense is not going to call plays that is going to challenge you. And I think that is the biggest issue here. That's the biggest issue with Lombardi. That's the biggest issue with this offense. That's been the biggest issue all season long. Even in these wins, you can see it, right? You can see the Titans defense. They have the worst passing defense. I made sure to verify this. They are number 32, right, as far as yards go, as far as they've given up 25 touchdowns. I think they're second. They've given up the most passing touchdowns. They give up 285 yards a game passing. This defense has been, the pass defense in particular has been awful all season long. And this was pre all their injuries, too. They have been bad all season long. Remember that game in Buffalo? I think it was the second game of the season? Possibly was the first, maybe second game of the season, but they went up against the Bills. No, I think it was the second. I think it was week 2. They gave up like 48 points or something like that. Josh Allen was just going down the field on these guys like nothing, just bam, 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 right? Obviously, the Bills have a good offense, but when you look at what they were doing, right, as far as the defensive backfield, giving up a lot of points, they can't play man-to-man, and then even in their zones are leaky. Their linebackers do not cover well in the zone, right? So even you've seen in the first half, Keenan Allen was able to exploit that a couple of times. I think Mike Williams did once or twice as well, too. The linebackers can't cover, and the cornerbacks, the DBs, the safeties, they can't go man-to-man. They get beat all the time, right? This is what I seen on tape watching the Titans, and it was really on tape last week against the Jaguars. They could not stay with anybody. Trevor Lawrence was doing whatever he wanted to do. The Jaguars offense got whatever they wanted to get against this defense. Now, fast forward to today. Fast forward to this Charger offense. This Charger offense made this Titans defense look average. And this defense is below average. They are below average. Their linebackers, again, they cannot cover at all. They have trouble covering running backs out of the backfield, and they obviously have trouble covering tight ends. So if you're looking at who could have had a big game, right? If you're looking at a tight end could have had a big game over the middle. That's not what the Chargers do. Obviously, they throw to the running backs a lot, but those are never for like a lot of yards. So, I mean, Eckler, he had a okay game. So did Josh Kelly. But when you're just looking at what can translate over from week to week, the Titans do a lot of bad things defensively. And especially in the defensive backfield, they do a lot of bad things. They show up on tape. They're undisciplined. They get beat in man-to-man zone. If you have decent protection, you can hit these guys over the head for a bunch of yards. And you can get it down to the red zone. Then you can run. You can do your screens. You can do a lot of different things, right? You can hit this defense in a lot of different ways. The Chargers did not do that. They didn't do that because it's not because they can't. It's because of the guy that they have calling plays, and it's because of the predictability of this offense. It's back to stick routes. How many third downs? How many times did we see stick routes on third down? We see them a bunch. This is what they do. This is what the Chargers do, right? And they come out and they act like people have not seen it. This is week 15. We're going into week 16, and guess what they're going to do next week against the Colts? They're going to go with stick routes on third downs. The Colts are going to be able to see that, and if Herbert throws another interception, right, outside of him just completely losing grip on the ball or something like that, it's probably going to be because their defense has seen this on tape. That's probably what is going to be. That's most likely what it's going to be, is because the defense seen it on tape. They're able to jump it. They're able to play as aggressive as they want to play, and they are going to make plays on the ball. They're going to get pass breakups, and they're going to do all of that. They're going to do all of that different stuff. So it really boils down to play calling. It really boils down to how much or little the Chargers and the offense can throw off defenses, right? Which is not a lot. So this comes down to Justin Herbert being perfect. And again, if you keep a game close enough like the Chargers did today, they didn't play well. Obviously, the guys across from them weren't world beaters. They weren't great. But if you keep a game close and it's time to win, I have confidence in Justin Herbert. I do. I have confidence in Herbert. I have confidence in what he can do down the field, even though the Chargers don't show it. But when you're looking at the inefficiency of the Chargers offense, look no further than the guy in the booth calling plays. That's who you got to look to. This is on him. The Herbert interceptions on him, right? How many interceptions has Herbert thrown this year? I think that was his 8th. I can think of 4 right off the top of my head that are the function of Joe Lombardi's offense, right? I can probably give credit to Herbert for 4 of those, maybe 4 bad throws, maybe him being a little too greedy, getting a little too aggressive, but 4 of them come just straight out of the function of the offense, right? That's it. That, you can chalk it up to that. That's how bad it's been. But it also shows you how great Justin Herbert is, how much of a franchise quarterback this guy is, to completely just ignore that and say, hey, I'm going to put this team on my back and we're going to win. So obviously, man, this was a game that the Chargers had to win. They did. And you got to credit Justin Herbert. You got to credit the defense. But the Chargers, it's very, very clear. They still have a Joe Lombardi problem. This is not going to go away. This is not going to go away until he goes away. So I want everybody to be clear about that. This is not going to go away until he goes away. So, I mean, that's really all you can chalk it up as. Defense played well. The defense played well. You can't take anything away from them. They played well.